Vance, ICE shooting, Renee Good. Welcome to Speak the Truth 2.0. And we want to know, was this a justify or is the officer entitled to immunity? So we're going to take a look at what transpired that awful day and what happened to that mother of three. And we want to hear from you. What do you have to say about it? But I know my heart is just aching.
No! No! Shit! Shit! Oh my God! What the fuck? What the fuck?
Dramatic video purportedly shows the moment an ICE agent fatally opened fire on a woman in Minneapolis, who DHS says attempted to barrel her SUV into the path of an officer. As multiple angles of the incident have emerged and gone viral across the internet, users are left divided on whether or not the agent's actions were reckless or in self-defense. In the footage, ICE officers order the driver out of the vehicle after she blocked the path of their truck. But as one of the agents attempts to open the door, she quickly throws the car into reverse before trying to speed forward in the direction of another agent in her path. After the vehicle narrowly misses the agent, he fires 3 shots before the car crashes into a white sedan parked nearby on the side of the street. Hundreds of protesters have gathered at the scene, which the city of Minneapolis has identified as the intersection of East 34th Street and Portland Avenue.
This is f***ing ridiculous. You don't protect people.
In the wake of the viral incident, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem described the officers' actions as defensive and called the incident an act of domestic terrorism during a press conference.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Democratic Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry, however, furiously denounced this narrative in a passionate press conference of his own.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement, "This is an evolving situation, and we will give the public more information as soon as it becomes available."
If you are sleeping in
I
a
don't know
position
how
like
you
this,
guys
you
feel
are
about
wrecking your
this,
body
but
and your breathing.
It's terrible. This is really bad. There's no other way to look at this. I want to give my condolences to the only person that lost their life, to the family of Renee Good and her 3 children that now are without their mother. And I believe that the youngest child is 6 that they dropped off. The father, he passed away, I think, a year ago. So these children don't have a mother or father. And it just grieves my heart that these things happen all the time with law enforcement. If you had watched the video yesterday, my video with JD Vance, if you skip to the end when I react, my personal belief is that this officer was not fit for duty. They spent it right after this incident, this horrific accident, that the officer was involved in being dragged by a car a few months prior. Now, we're going to look at the video again later on, but if he was traumatized and being dragged by a car, why was he on active duty? Why was he there? He positioned himself in front of the vehicle. The other 2 officers that had demanded for her to get out of the vehicle, her window was down. Her window wasn't even up. And one of the officers attempted to unlock the door. But I'm not saying that her actions were right, but she didn't deserve to die. And her children certainly did not deserve to wake up today coming into the new year without their mother. And this is not an attack on ICE. ICE does have a job to do.
Her name didn't deserve to get slandered.
Yeah, and her name did not deserve to get slandered before and full investigation. Immediately, the vice president, which we will show him, decided to speak to the nation and already declare that she was a leftist lunatic. She was in the wrong. And, you know, they already painted the picture that she was at fault and the officer was the victim. So they already made the officer the victim, not the person that's unalive. And, you know, there needs to be an investigation before anything else is said in regards to this incident. Now, her partner was the one that filmed the video that everyone has been able to witness, because the ICE agents don't wear, they don't have videos. Now, they said a video did come out. Somehow, this officer used his cell phone after he unalived a woman. He's making his own video. So I don't know if that was to protect him or not. And I'm not saying that the ICE officers, they do need to be protected. They are threatened. They do go through things. And it falls when one person, just like in any police department, when you have one bad cop, it makes all of them look bad. It makes them all look bad.
If he was the victim, then why is he alive right now and she's dead right now?
Yeah, so that's the picture that they're trying to paint, that he's the victim. If he was traumatized, whatever he went through a few months prior, he was unfit for duty. You don't need cops or Homeland Security or ICE agents on the street that don't know how to react to pressure. The other officers that were on the scene, they had close contact with her. They were cool and calm and collective. They didn't draw their weapons. This man didn't just shoot her once. He shot her in the head, for God's sakes. He shot her multiple times.
Not shooting the tires out.
Yeah, he could have, he could have shot the tires out. And I guess what troubles me mostly is that she's American. I thought that ICE was supposed to remove what they say are the bad guys, the illegal immigrants, Trinidad Raga, MS-13, and now they came out, we shot 2 MS-13, Trinidad Raga, whatever people, you know, and later on, y'all gonna shoot them. But she's American. This is really a terrible way to start the New Year's, that all this time ICE has been doing their job, but this is a tragedy. I can't condone this, because this could have been handled a better way. If you look at it, the woman wasn't trying to run him over. And you know what? I'm going to go to this expert to look at the vehicle and that can give us an actual step-by-step of the actions that were actually taken. Yes.
You got a lot of butthurt men acting like emotional women in comments calling us names.
Well, you know what? I bind it up in the name of Jesus. Nobody is saying that you can't label all ICE officers off of one person's actions. But you can talk about this ICE agent that's making them all look bad because of him not being unfit for duty. He should not have been out there. That's the truth. That's not talking about all ICE agents.
Okay, his job.
She didn't deserve to die.
Okay, his job was to kill her, right? They're saying he did his job. His job was to kill her.
He didn't do his job. This was a simple vehicle situation. She was being probably at the time an ass, but she didn't deserve to die. She wasn't trying to hit him. She was getting around the other vehicle. He wasn't even supposed to be standing in front of the vehicle. But I just think that at this point, that the J.D. Vance speaking out immediately, ICE shooting RENEE Good, who's an American citizen. That's not what ICE is supposed to be about. We got to stay focused. This is not what ICE is supposed to be about. This is who this woman was. hear about who she is.
There must be
And
listeners.
she has people like her children who I pray for them. They're mourning. They don't have their mother.
Yeah, that ICE agent must be listening to his boyfriend or husband.
They are without their mother, and that's the sad part about it. I need you to go. The sad part about it, they don't have their mother.
Renee Nicole Good, the 37-year-old mother of three, fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minnesota Wednesday morning, was a stay-at-home mom who didn't show any signs of activism, according to family. Videos have gone viral of the shooting where Good was killed when she allegedly floored her Honda Pilot into a federal agent after blocking them in a residential Minneapolis neighborhood during an immigration operation.
She lost control once she was shot in the head. That's when it accelerated
Good
because she had no control at that
crashing
point.
into a parked car down the road. Born in Colorado Springs, Good, whose full name was Renee Nicole Macklin Good, was a devout Christian who took part in youth missions to Northern Ireland as a child. Good had 3 children, a 15-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son with her first husband, and a 6-year-old son with her second. Good had moved to Valley Falls, Kansas with her parents after her second husband, who suffered from PTSD, died in 2023. She then moved to Kansas City, Missouri, before relocating to Minnesota last year and claimed on social media to be experiencing Minneapolis, displaying a pride flag emoji on her Instagram account. Her ex-husband said Good was a stay-at-home mother. The former spouse, who remained anonymous, never saw his ex-wife as an activist and didn't know her to participate in protests. He said Good and her current partner had just dropped off the 6-year-old at school before they encountered the ICE agents. Video following the shooting appeared to capture the heartbroken partner hysterically crying after Good's death.
Hey, was you riding with her? Did you call any of your people yet?
The Trump administration tagged Good as a domestic terrorist after the shooting. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. An act of domestic terrorism, DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. After the fatal shooting, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey launched a furious attack on ICE.
ICE, get the out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
Good was killed on her older sister's birthday, her uncle Robert Ganger told ABC Denver 7. Her parents described her as a caring human being who was killed in a stupid circumstance. Renee was one of the kindest people I've ever known, her mother, Donna Ganger, told the Star Tribune. She was extremely passionate. She's taken care of people all her life. She was loving, forgiving, and affectionate. She was an amazing human being. She was probably terrified, Ganger added, saying the circumstance of the death were so stupid.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
It's terrible. You know, it's just
If you live in
sad
the New
where
Jersey
we
zip
are
code
today.
and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years.
Because I can't get it. Yeah, it's just sad. It's just, to me, it's just a sad situation. And the worst part about this is that this happens all the time with some law enforcement that really shouldn't be out on the street. And they make everyone look bad. So people are divided right now. People are actually saying she deserved it. Someone in the comments said if she drove there, she didn't deserve to die.
Some say justified.
You know, it's not. This is human life. ICE is supposed to be gathering up illegal immigrants and detaining them to send them back to their countries of origin. There is not supposed to be killing 37-year-old American citizens with 3 children.
They're supposed to be helping protecting the citizens.
Because they're supposed to be protecting. The whole point of ICE, I thought, was to protect the citizens from incidences like this coming from people that have entered into this country criminally. So it's like, it's hard to take this in and say personally that it's not justified, because there's other ways that you are supposed to de-escalate a situation, and the people that had the cool heads were the other officers who did not draw their weapons.
Okay, first off, you got a really stupid name, and what you said talking about our culture doesn't even make any sense.
You know, so we're not going to fall into or be deflected from what we're talking about. Deflections happen all the time, and this has happened to a white woman. American citizen, 37 years old, and now her children are grieving. Did anyone lift up a prayer for her children? They were innocent. They no longer have their mother. Their mother shouldn't have been out there. Okay. Their mother shouldn't have been behaving that way. But she didn't deserve to die. They could have shot the tires. He was the only one that had his weapon drawn. He wasn't the only ICE officers out there. There were the 2 officers that was in close proximity of her right there. They never drew their weapons. When he started firing, actually, they were trying to get away from him.
Let's listen to Larry, because he's clearly like Sherlock Holmes, and he knows exactly what happened at that incident. Let's all listen to a guy named Larry.
It's a terrible situation, no matter how you look at it. And I'd like to know what direction is country going into. People become so desensitized that you're missing the picture. What job are the ICE agents? What are they supposed to do? What are their jobs? Why are they there? I think that it's escalating now. When it spills over that American citizens are losing their jobs, it's not the illegal immigrants that are losing their lives, it's American citizens. This should have been handled better. And like I said, what happens when incidences like this happen, it makes everyone look bad. We're going to hear from deep dive into ICE killing RENEE Nicole Good.
This is what they do to black people, though. Like, they caused it. They deserve it.
They always say that.
Yeah.
The victim is always at fault, no matter what, you know. That's how it is. That's always the case. I need you, like, that's always the case when things like this happen.
Conversation. An ICE agent shooting and killing a civilian in the middle of a Minneapolis street. Now, over the last 24 hours, Americans have hit the streets to voice their outrage and call for accountability. You're looking at videos from protests in every corner of the country, from New York to Seattle, Southern California to Central Florida, and all across the Midwest. In fact, we even had our own small demonstration in downtown Detroit with larger protests scheduled for Friday and Saturday. And tonight, we want to take a closer look at the video at the center of all of this and the renewed debate over use of force. Joining us now to highlight some key points investigators will be looking at is former Detroit Police Assistant Chief Steve Doolin. And with Steve's help, we're going to really go through the video and pause it at key points to take a look at the complex factors that went into both this tragic outcome and the intense investigation in the days and weeks ahead. And Steve, we thank you for joining us here tonight.
No problem, thank you.
Now, obviously, there are mixed versions of what happened before the camera started rolling. So we're going to focus specifically on what we can see with our own eyes. So let's start here as we see law enforcement members pull up to the scene and exit their vehicle right there.
Watch the video.
An SUV that's parked on the road. So I guess, Steve, the first question I have here is, what's the thought process of not just driving around or alerting this person by laying down their horn? What do you make of this first process, this first step?
I wouldn't pull in front of the vehicle because it's occupied. She's already blocking the street. You don't want to get another accident and have the passenger of the ICE vehicle injured. So that's one reason I wouldn't go around. The second, it appears there's a vehicle over here, ICE vehicle, right? Blocking her in. They both get out of the car and approach from the side, which is smart. I'm assuming there's an officer on that side trying to investigate her. So I can understand this. This I got.
This part we understand.
Yes, I'm good.
So let's unpause the video and we'll see as the officers actually approach her vehicle, and one of them goes right to the door to try and open it. Now, here's the issue. Granted, we don't have the body cam audio. We don't even have body cam video because they weren't wearing it. But if you had to guess, what's being said in this moment?
Turn off the car, because I've been there, done that, unfortunately. Turn off the car and exit the vehicle. Because the window's down. The window's, right? He's reaching in.
Yep.
And so the window's down, and I'm told that there were mixed, the officers had given mixed commands. Get out of the car, put your hands up, stay in the car, whatever. He's reaching in to unlock the door because the door's locked. She's not obeying a lawful command, it appears right now.
When you say, so if you go up to someone who's in a car and they're not obeying your command, how common is it to unlock the door and try to open it yourself?
Well, usually the window's rolled up, they don't want to talk to you. But in this case, it's down, and whatever she's saying. So you don't want to get out, okay, I'm going to unlock the car. I'm asking you to get out, you don't want to get out, that's fine, I'm going to get you out. Now, unlike what happened in Melvindale, where they tased the person, he hasn't done that.
Right.
He's like, get out of the car, get out of the car. He's not getting out of the car.
And so, Steve, let's go ahead and unpause the video again and advance this just a second or two as the driver begins to pull away here. Now the officer who ultimately fired the deadly shots is being kind of obscured behind the colleague there, as you can see. But if you look closely, you can actually see his gun has been pulled from the holster.
Yes.
In this step, anything alarming, anything speaks to you?
Yes. First, why is he in front of the car? The car is a deadly weapon. So why would you place yourself in front of the car? Now, he may have been walking around, but that's a deadly weapon. So now you're going to pull your gun out. The other two officers don't have their gun out, and they have direct contact with her. They don't perceive an immediate threat. He does. Now, in hindsight, we've heard that he was dragged down the street several months ago, the same officer.
Right.
Okay. Tactically, I'm not happy with that. And again, these two do not have their weapons drawn. They do not, it doesn't appear that they're in fear of their life. Why he's doing that, I can't speak.
And so there are question marks for you here as to why, again, the placement of this officer. Why are you standing here?
Yes.
You would say, if you were deputy chief and this was your officer, you'd say you should have stood over here.
Yeah, or stayed on this side of the vehicle, because you have an ICE vehicle here. There's the curb right there, unless she's going to drive up there. Why are you placing yourself in danger? That's my opinion.
Well, Steve, let's go ahead and advance the video just a few frames here. Just a few frames as the officer fires, there it is, 3 times through the driver's side window and the front windshield, striking the driver, who then crashed into another vehicle a little way down the street. And when you look at specific time codes here, and I want to kind of show this to you, you'll actually see those 3 shots were all fired within 11.5 seconds of the officers actually exiting their vehicle and arriving at the scene. So when you look at this specific video angle, and it ends here, but that's not where the story ends.
No.
And so what do you make of what's going to happen here as we're going to show you this next clip? We're going to play a clip for you full screen of an encounter that happened just a few minutes later. So take a close look at this.
Okay.
Can I go check a pulse? No! Back up! Now! I'm a physician!
Hey, listen, I understand. We got EMS coming. I get it. Just give us a second.
He's a doctor.
We have medics on scene. We have our own medics.
Where are they? Where are they?
All right, right there, you're hearing from concerned bystanders, including a doctor, as Renee Good lays motionless in the driver's seat of the car. That doctor was basically denied access to the victim. Ambulances got there just a few minutes later, but according to our Minneapolis Fox station there, ICE vehicles blocked ambulances from actually reaching the scene. And finally, 15 minutes later, agents carried her limp body to paramedics. She didn't die there at the scene, she died at the hospital, but nonetheless, time was lost there. Now, a lot of people are actually pointing to this moment as another big problem in how the first aid element was actually handled or not handled. And so you got a lot going on here between the shooting and the first aid problems. What are your thoughts of what you saw there?
Okay. So when you block a street, the problem there, it's unlawful because you're preventing egress and ingress in a case like this for first responders to get there. When you have this and shooting, you try to get the individual out as soon as possible to get medical attention. So why you would deny, if it's true, EMS to get there is beyond me. You want them to get in there because even though you're an ICE agent, you're not a medical professional. You may have been trained in first aid, but this person's been shot 3 times. They should have allowed him in, my opinion. And then you said they dragged her out of the car and took her. No, that's EMS's job to work on the car and then get her out of there and transport her.
And so there are so many questions. Obviously, the rules of use of force are different between a local agency like Detroit Police and a federal one like ICE and DHS. So we actually tracked down their official policy to compare their written regulations and how things unfolded in Minneapolis. Now, here's the deal. There are 3 excerpts that we want to highlight for you. When it comes to deadly force, the guidelines read like this. Officers may use deadly force only when necessary. That is when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury to the officer or another person. Deadly force shall not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing subject. Now, on the very next page of the guidelines, there is a specific subsection having to do with vehicles, and it reads this. Officers are prohibited from discharging firearms at the operator of a moving vehicle unless the use of deadly force against the operator is justified under the standards articulated elsewhere in this policy. And when it comes to first aid, this is important. You just heard Steve talk about that. Why? Well, the policy reads, as soon as practicable following a use of force and the end of any perceived public safety threat, officers shall obtain appropriate medical assistance for any subject who has visible or apparent injuries. This may include rendering first aid, requesting emergency medical services, and or arranging transportation to an appropriate medical facility. But here's the thing. If you go to ICE's website tonight to look at those same use of force policies, this is what you find. You read it with this. 13 pages of blacked out, redacted material with a reference code B7E, which is specific redaction code indicating the information is relevant to ongoing criminal investigations. Tonight, we reached out to both DHS and ICE for comment. DHS says the agency's policy has not changed since 2023. ICE did not respond. So, with all that information in mind, Steve, we wanted to get your final thoughts as this investigation enters its early stages. And obviously, there are so many pieces and parts of this. But overall, what do you believe happened here? What do you think of what happened?
It's totally subjective as to whether the woman is fight or flight. She's seen a gun being drawn. Did she want to flee or run over the officer? Subjective in him. Can I get out of the way or do I have to fire my weapon? Am I in immediate danger? Subjective, we'll never know what her thought process was. That'll come out about his. The medical thing, I don't agree with what he did. You got to get there right away. The redaction, it's federal government. Are you really surprised?
Do you believe that the feds and everyday people like us on the streets are rushing to judgment too quickly? How much more time and
needs to be a full
of really researching
investigation.
this case will it take to find the truth?
I think both, because I think Christine Hall jumped the gun saying it's a domestic terrorist act. No, what happened in Dearborn was a domestic terrorist attack. You want to wreak havoc on a bunch of people. I don't think she woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to kill an ICE agent. My opinion.
Former Assistant Chief Dolan, we thank you so much for your perspective always here on the broadcast. Thanks for joining us with your insight tonight. Our coverage of the story doesn't stop here. It's still ahead tonight. We'll hear from...
I gotta move this because I can't control it like that. That's why I need to be talking while I do this. Wow, that was a lot. What we're going to have right now, no matter what's going on, you're going to have a divided. You're going to have a divided America. You're going to have some people saying it was justified, and that's always the case, no matter what. But the time that and some people are going to say that it wasn't justified. But we're living in a time everybody has cell phones. Everybody can pull out a phone, and now more than ever, we're seeing in real time, real life, what's happening out here on our streets. Before, we would have to wait for mainstream media, before the internet and all that, for them to give us their perspective. But now, it's like instantly you're seeing things. But I do believe that it was that the vice president prematurely, I believe, I just think that they should wait for the entire investigation. Because if no justice, no peace, you have to let the people know that if she was really threatening this officer's life. Now, the videos that they've been showing, she's not anywhere near hitting him. She's going around him. He went in front, he went on the side of her and started shooting her when she was trying to remove herself from the scene. But the reason why I believe her car accelerated because she was shot. in the head. So her body probably slumped over. The blood was all over her. The blood was all over, all inside the car. So when you saw the car speeding at that point, because no one was controlling the car once she was shot, that went out the door. But this is like the cell phone video from ICE officer shows fatal. So now, he had even his own video, which is crazy.
Getting a new look at the ICE-involved shooting that killed a 37-year-old woman in an SUV, RENEE Good. The video appears to be from the perspective of one of the ICE agents. Let's take a look.
Minutes before she's gonna lose her life.
That's okay, we don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former. You wanna come at us? You wanna come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Whoa!
NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter joins us now. Tom, walk us through what you saw in this video and the perspective you say appears to be from the ICE agent who fired the shots.
It may be, and clearly heard there on the tape, there are two expletives that are uttered at the end of the tape, an F expletive, a B expletive, and we're not quite sure who said that, just so everybody's clear, who's speaking at that moment is now deceased. And for the moment that the car goes into drive and the shots are fired, it's less than 3 seconds as we look at it here on the video. So first thing that it points out is how quick these interactions always are. They always escalate from a certain point to the moment that shots are fired very quickly. That is something we see in a lot of police-involved shootings, officer-involved shootings, and this federal officer-involved shooting. The second thing is clearly there's some sort of a interaction here that had been going on. And this is what I've been saying since the moment on air with you, on air with everybody, since the moment that this has happened. What happened before this occurred?
Right.
What is the discussion that is occurring here? It does appear to answer some questions that we've had since this incident began, which is what was the interaction like at the car?
Right.
As I said on the Today Show yesterday morning, okay, so does she say something back to the ICE agents? What are the ICE agents asking or commanding her to do? And is there a moment of panic that occurs there? Is there a statement that happens there? And now we have clarity on that, in that there is no specific statement that she utters at that moment.
Right.
They are clearly commanding her to get out of the vehicle. They're giving her some sort of a command. And go ahead.
Does she have to follow those commands? As someone who was there, a U.S. citizen, we assume not the target of those operations at that time. Is she under a legal obligation to obey?
Typically, yes, because law enforcement has their lights on. Law enforcement is giving you a command. They're asking you to step out of the vehicle. There's a discussion that's taking place. I know that there's going to be different attorneys who are going to weigh in on this issue, so that's why I'm giving a caveat there. I would want to know more about that from a legal expert, but typically, yes, if law enforcement is giving you a command in that circumstance, that's something to do. They're certainly not telling her to drive away.
Right.
And so there's also, a question there of whether or not they've had some prior interaction with law enforcement.
And that we don't know yet. Tom, stay right here. I want to bring in Julia Ainsley, who's standing by and who acquired this video. Julia, what can you tell us about how you got this video and what you're hearing from your sources about what you think it depicts?
Well, of course, we can't go into sourcing on this, but this is a video that has been verified from our big team here at NBC News. This is just and look, there have been a lot of videos from different perspectives, but from the very beginning, we could see the officer who was involved in the shooting with a cell phone as he walked around the car, and so now we're getting it from his perspective. Unfortunately, we're not able to get a body cam. That's what we really want as journalists in this perspective, because body cams stay on the vest, and so when he goes to reach for the gun at the end of this video, that's when our view drops out and we
So
just
he
see the
shoots
car.
her
If we
and
could have
films
seen
her?
the vest, of course, we'd be able to get a more clearer perspective on exactly what this officer saw when he made that decision to shoot. Unfortunately, ICE does not have a mandatory policy on body cameras. They had a pilot program that started under the Biden administration, and right now, no more than 20% of ICE officers on the streets actually have body cameras, and even if they do, they're not required to turn them on. So what we have is this, but as Tom points out, I mean, it does give us more of an idea into the interaction between these two parties. Now, the woman you see who's speaking to the officer the most, who's out of her car with the camera, I believe, and I don't think we're going out on a limb too far here, I do believe that is the wife of RENEE Good, because so that people who are protesting them don't follow them from location to location, and they can do their jobs more covertly and presumably with more safety. And so she's saying, we're not changing. Our officers are trained. They're told also never to come at a car from the front. And you can see he walks around the car several times. Things seem to escalate right as he's at the corner of the car. So again, what we would want is a body cam footage to be able to see if that corner was aimed near him. Again, what Tom said, the expletive too, I think is really going to come out and be a big piece of this conversation. And we're bleeping this out because we're on broadcast news, but it actually shows, and it may not have come from the officer who actually fired the shots, but one of the officers nearby. It's definitely a man's voice. We've heard it. And when they're saying effing B, that is coming out of the mouths of these officers as this shot was fired. Now, we know this is an FBI investigation. We know state investigators are not allowed to look into this, so they wouldn't even be reviewing this video or drawing any of their own conclusions. They're not even allowed to interview witnesses, even though the governor would like that. But these are all the things that would normally go into an investigation, not just from the feds, but also internally within ICE to see if there was any breach of conduct here. But at this point, we don't even know that they're doing an internal investigation into this officer, or if he was even placed on any kind of administrative leave, which is protocol after that.
A desk job.
What this video does, though, is it's the first time we've gotten this much closer to the perspective of that officer as he chose to fire those shots. And again, it may still serve as a workshop because protesters
phone in one hand, talking to her,
hear those words,
and
probably going to hear the
pull out
words
his
of
gun
video
in the
that's
other
not
hand
leaked out.
and shot
And
her.
they might say that this is a woman smiling in her car who looks cooperative, and then you have an angry ICE officer. But you may have people on the other side who say he was so close to her car when she began to accelerate. So it's another piece of this very complicated.
She accelerated when she got shot in the head.
And you're right in pointing out that there's no requirement for ICE agents to wear body cameras. So this is really the closest and most key piece of video we get from that.
Try telling that to her children.
The body camera would have been a wide angle. It would have been horizontal. It would have shown the moment that the shots were fired. But given this and the training, I've heard from multiple sources, and Tom, you can speak to this too, multiple sources in law enforcement who say they are not supposed to go in front of a vehicle and also not supposed to reach into a vehicle. You know, what is your sense there of how ICE agents are trained? And in a scenario like this, was it like an exigent circumstance where that officer needed to be in that position or the other one needed to be reaching into the car?
It doesn't seem, at least based on that interaction, that there were any exigent circumstances. As far as reaching into a car, we know that the officer who fired the shots actually reached into a car in another incident 6 months earlier in Bloomington, Minnesota, and his arm got stuck between a car seat and the car frame as he was dragged 50 to 100 yards.
He shouldn't have been out there.
So definitely not his first time having a car incident like this. And of course, he's going to be maybe more worried that he could be injured again. He did sustain injuries from that previous incident. But yes, the training behind this would say that they should not escalate. I've even spoken to some people about why they got out of their cars in the first place. But it does seem, and you could just feel this from the perspective, from the tension that you're watching build in that video, that they were really frustrated that this car was not moving. We know from Secretary Noem they'd already done an operation, so presumably they've arrested someone or they've gone out to arrest someone and they weren't there, but they did what they needed to do when they were on their way back to headquarters. I've spoken to people who said it would be a security threat if they blocked their egress and they weren't able to exit a place. But it is clear from anyone watching even the earlier videos, there seems to be some space to go around this car. But they're visibly frustrated that she won't move.
We thank you for watching. And remember,
I don't know, you guys. I don't know. It's like my heart is hurting for her children. I think that they are the victims of all of this, that, because of even the mother's actions of being there, the ICE agent action that should not have been out there, because he was not the only ICE agent on the scene. The other two agents were right there in arm inside the car, all that, trying to unlock the car. Her window was down, and he's videotaping her with his cell phone on one hand, and the other hand, you're going around the car. You're not even in front of the car at this point. You're not even in front of the car. You're on the side of the car shooting her in the head. So
correct me if I'm wrong. This guy is emotionally unstable.
He's emotionally unstable.
He got into another altercation on the same job. This is why
a few months later,
you have to be very careful with these people that are part of the protection that have guns on them, because some of them are emotionally damaged and unstable, and that's how you could lose your life, like how this poor young woman did.
Yeah, because I think if he wasn't there, she would still be alive today.
Yeah.
The other cops would have just let her just go and get it. She was just getting out the way. They would let her just go on. He positioned himself in front of the vehicle, which the expert was saying, first of all, he shouldn't have been standing in front of it, but when she was moving the vehicle, he was not in front of the vehicle. And they do have video showing enough space. She didn't hit him. She did not hit him with her car. He didn't have any injuries. There were no injuries by him. He didn't have to go to the hospital. So people saying that she was trying to run him over with a car. If you want to run somebody over, you can run them over. She wasn't trying to run him over. Her vehicle was nowhere near his body to hit him. So why not shoot the tires? Why not just move out the way? Let her go. Just let her go. She wasn't being arrested. They said move the vehicle. Now she's moving the vehicle. Just let her go. She maneuvered the vehicle around him, not to hit him. And there was another vehicle on the other side. I don't know. My heart is just going out to the kids. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm not in agreement with everything that goes on. Even when I support like other actions of ICE, I don't support this.
Because some people in these positions of power, they almost feel like it's a badge of honor to get a body.
And he's going to be protected. He will not face any charges. Nothing's going to happen to him. They already have
J.D. Vance.
Yeah, well, J.D. Vance is already he blamed the mother before any investigation. I mean, you at least have to have an investigation before you start blaming people of a crime. So there's no investigation so far.
Yeah, anyone's on.
Deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis. New York Times reporting a surge of federal agents is expected through this weekend. This as Minnesota's role in the investigation is changing.
And we have team coverage for you this morning. First, let's get to Audrey Russo with those new developments. Good morning, Audrey.
Now, first and foremost, I want to say that state and local lawmakers are actually going to be demanding that the FBI provide more transparency and cooperation in this investigation. They're going to be doing that at 9 o'clock this morning here at Minneapolis at City Hall behind me. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension says that the FBI has shut the agency out of the investigation into the shooting death of RENEE Good. And when you look at this video, you're going to see the early stages of the investigation as the scene was getting processed on Wednesday. Federal and local law enforcement initially said that they would work together. But in the last 24 hours, the BCA says it was notified it would no longer have access to the evidence and the witness interviews, the case files. All of this comes as Vice President J.D. Vance told reporters that ICE agents have absolute protection from state charges, something legal experts dispute.
The idea that a local official can actually prosecute a federal official with absolute immunity, I've never seen anything like that.
The Vice President is wrong. There are claims in some cases of federal immunity. I do not believe that would apply in this case.
Now, it's the word absolute and absolute immunity that's being disputed here, but it is worth noting that federal agents do have some legal protections. It would come down to a judge determining whether or not an ICE agent acted reasonably within the bounds of their federal duties.
Now they're saying, God bless America for keeping American kids safe. Well, those are American children that just lost their American mother. I am simply not feeling what happened to her. I am not feeling that.
I mean, like the person said, people who are on ICE's side right now lack empathy.
A couple of questions for you. First, have you heard personally anything from
Minneapolis
the
mayor
or the president himself? And also, the administration has pointed to some of your comments right after the shooting as turning up the temperature in this city. Yesterday, we did see some protests that,
there was no body cam
there was
footage.
pepper spray, there was tear gas. Do you stand by your statements to telling ICE to get out?
They stand by their statements. Do you stand by your statements? I stand by my statements. We stand by our statements. I'll look back to what I said. What I said was it was reckless abuse of power. Yes, it was a reckless abuse of power. I said that what the narrative that the administration was pushing in the immediacy following this shooting was garbage and false and BS. It was. I stand by every one of those. And this notion of inflammatory.
Like, I don't know why people, when things happen that are questionable, people aren't even getting all the information. Everyone is so busy taking sides. It's like, we want what's right. We no justice, no peace. We want what's right. This is not about parties, not about the Republicans and the Democrats. This is about a life, an American citizen that unfortunately lost her life. Yes, she shouldn't have been there. Yes, she shouldn't have been doing what she was doing, but she shouldn't have died for it. Looking at the footage, unless they show me something differently, she wasn't trying to hit him. Her vehicle came nowhere near him. The only time that her vehicle accelerated was when she had gotten shot, and then she had no control of her body because she was shot in the head. So I just think that this is a tragedy, and it gives ICE like a bad rap, because when one person actions make the whole, it makes the whole agency look bad.
These people just lack empathy in the comments and stuff.
It's sad.
Those people nowadays.
Well, this is how it is. This is, we live in the end time, so this is to be expected. People not to even
view from Washington. Let's bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi, who's joining me from outside of the White House on the lawn there. So, Olivia, the White House doubling down, I guess, on federal law enforcement and their account of what happened on the scene of that shooting. We all heard from the Vice President of the United States, and not only did he have some strong words about Renee Nicole Good on social media, he called her a deranged leftist without any proof of that. What else are they saying, the administration?
Well, it's an interesting point that Asher actually just touched on, which is that they've already concluded that the ICE agent, the federal government, this administration, essentially is saying that this ICE agent has absolute immunity, even as this investigation is ongoing and that the FBI is investigating. Of course, you did just hear from those Minnesota lawmakers saying that they need coordination with people who are on the ground in Minnesota because they clearly have more of a presence there. Despite that, though, this administration is saying that the ICE agent did nothing wrong, that he was working in self-defense, and adding that the woman who was killed, Renee Good, they're alleging that she was part of a left-wing network that was being organized. And yesterday, it was pretty extraordinary. We heard from Vice President Vance from the podium of the briefing room at the White House making a statement about what happened on the ground in Minnesota. Typically, when you're making a statement from the White House podium, it's very serious, very grave, and the Vice President took that opportunity to talk about the situation on the ground and describe Renee Good in quite interesting terms. Take a listen to what he said here.
You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that. I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making and a tragedy of the far left who has marshaled an entire movement, a lunatic fringe, against our law enforcement officers.
So some of the words you hear there, lunatic fringe. He also said she was brainwashed and a victim of left-wing ideology. So quite notable how they're painting Renee Good, even though we're just very much in the early days of this investigation.
And what are you hearing from the administration, Olivia, about how this immigration enforcement operation will move forward in Minnesota? As you know, Nicole Skanger reported that in the wake of Renee Nicole Good's shooting, that there have been some 200 to 400 more officials from ICE deployed to the ground of Minneapolis.
It's going to be a big mess.
Yeah, they're planning on surging the amount of federal law enforcement that's on the ground in Minnesota. There's already about 2,100 ICE officers that are there. About 1,500 of those are in the enforcement and removal operations, but 600 of those are part of their Homeland Security investigations, which is a separate wing, but still a pretty heavy force there on the ground. There's also 200 more Customs and Border Patrol agents that will be deployed to Minnesota. CBS News also learned that they are thinking about deploying hundreds of additional agents to Minneapolis. So if there was any sign that after what happened earlier this week that operations would slow down, take a pause, kind of lower the temperature, that is not what's going to happen on the ground. In fact, this administration plans to surge their operations on the ground there and the amount of federal law enforcement that are there.
All right, Olivia Rinaldi.
You know what I find troubling is like coming into a new year, and I guess this chat really demonstrates people's hearts.
Yeah.
You know,
Adults'
you could be for ICE and you can agree with why they are here, and you can agree with President Trump and what their main objective is to find illegal immigrants, especially ones who have committed a crime since they've been here in the United States, and deport them. But when you have a young woman with 3 kids, because she positioned her car, yes, she shouldn't have been doing that. But they're trained. Like, you have to be an adult. Like, when you're working at a business and you're dealing with an irate customer, you're trained that you are supposed to behave like an adult. They have training. So whatever she was saying to them, it was supposed to like just go over their head, and they should have said, okay, get out the car, shoot her tires. She couldn't drive away, whatever. Or just get out the way, let her drive off. You wanted her to move. Then when she's deciding, okay, I'm getting out of here, she gets shot at, not once, twice, but 3 times.
And the thing is, too,
they were telling her to leave, and then they're saying to get out the car.
The thing is, too, that this police officer, when he shot her, he shot to kill her. He shot her in the head.
Yeah, he shot
He
to
didn't
kill.
Shoot her like in the biject, just
Or in her arm.
Yeah, 1 shot in the arm.
He's in close range. He's right there. He's right there, close range. He's right there on her, right in the head. And then that wasn't enough. When they do the autopsy, they're going to let the world know where some of the other bullets landed on her body. But until there's a full investigation, they're going to dissect this. Everyone has an opinion. You have a lot of people standing with ICE. That don't mean that everyone working for ICE are in their right mind. That doesn't mean that this guy did not have issues. The first thing they wanted to let the public know is the reason why he reacted the way he did was because of a previous incident when he got dragged down the street by a car. If he wasn't ready to be put back out on the street, he should have had a desk job.
No, he should be fired.
He was unfit for duty. He shouldn't have been out on the street, because as soon as he was presented with a similar situation, maybe not, it wasn't as bad as the first situation, because they said his arm got caught and he was dragged with a car down the street. This guy needed a psychiatrist. He needed therapy. He was not cool, calm, and collected. You know, he was reactive from his past experience. So he was not the person that should have been there on location. The other officers who didn't have his experience, neither one of them who were right there with her, talking with her, they didn't draw their weapons. They never did. They never even reached for their weapons. No one else thought of drawing their weapons except for the traumatized officer. And just because of his actions does not put a black mark on the entire ICE agency. And I think people get that confused. I mean, let's find out more what's happening once this investigation is completed. But right now, we got problems, Houston, because Americans are upset. And there are going to be big protests, and it's a lot is going to be going on because, like they say, no justice, no peace. People are furious. People are going to march. They believe that this was he overly react. That this went too far. That he should have been there to de-escalate it or whatever. He's supposed to be trained to handle these situations. I don't know. I feel I don't even know her, and I feel sympathy for the children and her family and what she did was regrettable. It was regrettable.
And now I know because it is that I need to be careful around ICE agents because they look to be trigger happy now.
Yeah, that it really makes the whole agency, at the end of the day, you're going to hear people not as much going after him. They're going to be going after the entire agency when they have a job to do. And their lives are threatened. They do get death threats, a lot of things that they experience. But this officer was, he was unhinged. He shouldn't have been out there. But now the whole agency, whether y'all want to believe it or not, the whole agency is now going to be under the microscope because of this trigger-happy officer. And, I'm not in agreement with what he did. I'm not in agreement. If anybody actually look at the videos, you'll see that his life was not in danger. Unless they can show us other videos, the people that was the closest to her did not draw their weapons. They didn't feel threatened. They didn't react. I'm going to put on Jasmine Crockett to hear from her because I like doing the Republican side and the Democrat side when it shouldn't be any side. This is about human life. It should be about people, but it's not.
The gentlelady from Texas is recognized to strike the last word.
Yes, Mr. Chad asked to strike the last words.
Gentlelady's recognized.
Thank you so much. It is so hard to sit here sometimes because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child. The child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad. And so we got to get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm. They're bringing the crime. The mayor of Minneapolis told y'all to get the fuck out. Yet y'all are the ones, it is this administration that is bringing crime to their streets. That's what's happening.
It's the third incident where somebody has dropped an F-bomb in this committee, including the video.
I'm sorry.
Including the
Are
video
your
that we had to watch earlier.
Are your
princess ears okay? Is it profanity?
The committee says ears
representative.
The committee. You are about the fact that a woman.
Are you soft representative?
The gentlelady.
Are we offending your princess ears?
Are they that soft? All members will.
Maybe some of the kids out there.
Mr. Chairman, it is the gentlelady's
You're killing
time.
them.
Kids.
It is the gentlelady's time. Let's let her have her time. It is the gentlelady's time. Would you stop the clock for a moment? Okay, and I'll restore that. The chair will remind all members that the person controlling the time is not to be unreasonably interrupted. We would further admonish that whenever possible to express the full meaning of something, it be done so without an expletive that may be offensive to people here in the audience or those who watch this on television. I understand that a quote at times is essential, but I would admonish everyone that it has been the practice of this committee for the many years I've been here to use such things as F-bomb in order to get the message out without actually using the word. Notwithstanding that, the gentlelady will be recognized for this time plus an addition.
Yeah, that's just show that's on the other side. Everyone is not in agreement. Like, that's like beyond like party. I mean, this is about human life, and I guess I have the sentiments that she have. I'm more concerned in looking at the children versus these adults who want to go back and forth. You know, this is Laura Ingraham on Fox News. So we are an equal opportunity channel. So
the ground, talking to people to try to get a clearer picture of the story, which is what we did today in Minneapolis. Right now, about 300 people here, fairly peaceful. I guess some Antifa or back there, but we're gonna have the fires, food, water, a lot of people in masks, but people are coming out and expressing themselves. It almost kind of takes on almost a community civic event. I wouldn't say celebration, but it's a gathering. And although it was pretty peaceful, like, and it really was. I mean, in that vigil, it was basically people, you know, they had a fire, they were giving out food, water, and, you know, some people were chanting. So that was fine. But if you actually go into the mix and try to chat with people, you end up getting escorted out. And they kind of nicely but aggressively escort you out across their border. So then we headed over to the Whipple Federal Building where Garrett just was. And earlier in the day, you saw some of those, you know, those conflicts between the ICE officers and the protesters were there. And things there, well, they got a little more interesting.
To the human race.
Why are you wearing a mask? Why are you wearing a mask?
Because my nose is full. Why do you care if I'm wearing a mask?
I'm just curious, just a question. This is the crowd, and they apparently are policing their borders. So they're policing their borders here, which is fascinating.
Shame! Shame!
Oh, really? So boring.
Shame! Shame!
Do you have a job? Do you have a job?
Shame! Shame! I'm getting paid right now!
Well, and as we were leaving in our vehicle, they did what they can do. They gave us all the finger. I think they secretly liked us, though. But a few observations here. So the protests are always smaller than they look on TV. Many of the folks there seem like they do this for recreation. And there are others that are truly mourning and really upset. And others seem to be people who just don't believe the United States should have any borders. But again, they sure do aggressively police their own borders.
We should have borders.
And while, again, there were plenty of people there just peacefully protesting, there are just as many people out there who seem like lifelong members of the agitator industrial complex. You heard that one woman, unclear whether she was joking or not, saying she was paid for being there. Huh, interesting. So even if they're not throwing stuff or physically blocking ICE, disrespecting law enforcement, a lot of them just seem perpetually pissed off. Well, and I wonder why. As we see with what's happening is more horrible news out of Portland tonight. Rage is being stoked, and it's mostly being stoked by a party with no solutions.
They wanted a moment like this, and look, it happened.
We should not have ICE agents patrolling our streets. They're not needed, they create chaos, and they even create deaths.
There are going to be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution that we all saw.
Blood is clearly on the hands of those individuals
within the administration.
ICE has been carrying out state-sanctioned violence in our communities. We have seen them terrorize so many of citizens.
But the worst of the worst today was a slimy comment by the ever odious Tim Walz, governor of this state, claiming that he wants to calm things down. And then he invokes a Nazi threat.
We're at one of those inflection points that simply asking our government to give us accountability, listen to local leaders, ratchet down the rhetoric, let people feel safe. We remembered, many of us in here in sophomore, and we read it, that the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most important directive. It certainly feels like that in this moment.
Okay, so we want to tamp things down as we keep vilifying law enforcement, federal agents. And I also say, where is the empathy for the ICE officer involved in that shooting yesterday, who, according to the New York Post, was himself dragged and hospitalized by an illegal alien driver last year? The attack on the officer, whom the Post is not naming, happened June 17th in Bloomington, Minnesota, exactly a month after embattled Minnesota Governor Tim Walz labeled ICE agents modern-day Gestapo while speaking at the University of Minnesota Law School graduation. And today, Vice President Vance blasted Democrats and the media for lying about the basic facts.
Everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. You people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Well,
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I mean, that's the reason why, like what they described, what happened to this guy, that it was a legal immigrant that dragged him down the street, not this lady. And I just think that at this point, that it was a reaction from what he previously experienced from trying to arrest, I guess, another illegal immigrant. But this wasn't the case. Like, they're trying to tie it together, but those are two separate situations. And I can't wait for the complete investigation. And then I think that everyone can have an opinion, because they're going to have to do a lot to, like, the people are going to protest. They're going to have to do a lot to calm this down, because I believe at this point, you're going to have so many people pushing back, and ICE in its entirety is getting blamed for the actions of one officer. That's what's transpiring from what he has done. And what's going to make things worse is that he will not be prosecuted. I already know that. They're not going to do anything about him. But at the very least, he should not be put back out on the streets. They should retire this guy.
Throw that man in jail, bruh.
The guy, they're not going to do that. At the very least, they should retire him, give him a desk job, or do something. But he should not be put back out on the streets. Because they said that happened a year ago to him. And for him to been the only officer on the scene, that he's videotaping with his phone, because they don't have their own, they don't have video cams.
On the footage I've seen, I didn't see the footage. I honestly don't want to see that, have that in my spirit.
Yeah.
But from the picture I seen from the video, it looked like he's behind her car and shooting.
No, he's all the way on the side. He's on the side of the car. He was, I think when he was approaching the car, he released his own personal video. So her car is right there. He's coming in front. He's videotaping her with his cell phone. He used his cell phone. So he's videotaping her. So if he felt that he was in danger, then why were you videotaping her coming around her car to come in front of her car, videotaping her? And then you're videotaping her as she is, I assume, talking with you or speaking to you. So if you felt in danger, why did you get in front of her vehicle?
Exactly.
But at the time that she pulled away, he was no longer in front of the vehicle. He wasn't in front of it then. At the point that she was pulling off, because remember, they were telling her to leave, that her vehicle was in the way. She was being, ridiculous. She was not, she did aggravate the officers because they wanted her to move. When she decided to move, after he was then around her vehicle, because he's showing that he walked around. Look at his video. Because we have videos that they have broken down and show how far apart that this officer, the one who fired on her, and where her vehicle was at the time of him shooting at her 3 times. So if you're feeling as though you are in danger, you're not videotaping with your cell phone. He's up on the car. That was released today. He's walking in front of the car. He's videotaping. He's walking with her with his cell phone, all in front of the car. He's videotaping her. Now he's on the side. He's no longer in front. That's why there's a space when she drives off, or attempts to drive off. Because when she shot, she lost all control. So that was it. But he wasn't, he was out of the way at that point. And his personal cell phone is showing that he was out of the way. So if she was trying to use her vehicle and he was shooting at her, he would have been positioned in front. He would not have been shooting on the side.
Exactly. Are you guys watching? Like, guys, we're talking about what happened in the video. We're talking about what actually happened.
This is just my observation. I am not forensic. I am not FBI. But this is the video that was released by him.
Because someone commented, it's pretty clear of what she did. Anytime something
It is clear what she did from his video. It shows that he was not in front of her car at the time.
Says when an officer defends himself, you always blame the officer.
Well, you defend yourself when if he felt that he was in danger. Why was he holding his cell phone, videotaping her? He's walking. He's on the side of her at first with his videotape. He's on the side. He's not in front of her vehicle. He's proceeded to walk in front of the video. Mind you, his cell phone is recording it. So then when he got on the side of her, he's no longer in front of the video. That's why he's standing on the side and he's shooting at her. So they're going to break this down. And I don't see how someone is fearing for their life and feel as though that you're in danger, but you're going to walk in front of the vehicle. Because obviously, if you're going to walk in front of her vehicle, I can't believe that you thought that she was going to run you over. That does not scream this person is going to run me over, because I'm actually walking in front of your vehicle. So I'm just playing devil advocate right now. So they're going to have to figure this out. So if he was fearing for his life, why would you walk in front of her vehicle, videotaping her? I don't know if it was wise for him to release his personal cell phone video. Why are you on your cell phone? I mean, you're multitasking. You're shooting a video on your cell phone and reaching for your gun. And he continued to, it's crazy. And then they show all the blood, the airbags and everything went off the woman. And then they refused to allow a doctor that was on the scene to assist her. They said it took like 15 minutes before they even allowed the paramedics or whatever to come on the scene. She was still alive. Who knows what the doctor could have did to stop some of her bleeding? Minutes matter. Seconds matter. And when you're trying to save someone's life, she didn't die until she got to the hospital, but by then it was too late.
Well, Christina, is that your name? How about you just watch the footage? Because we're just saying what we saw in the footage of the incident happening. They're getting in, trying to get like technical, like if she got shot from the
Well, one thing about it, we'll show his video.
I'm not watching that.
Let's see. Let's see. Look at his video, because he's talking to her. That's him walking in. Okay, that's him video. He's walking, but now he's on the side talk. That's him with the video.
I'm not mad for it. Sure you think. I'm not mad. That's okay. We don't
He
change our plates every
got her
morning.
license
Just
plate.
so you know, it'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I said go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Okay.
Out of the car. Get out of the car.
Now.
Get out of the car.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Back with us, Michael Feinberg, former special agent.
That's that's crazy, and that's why you guys, y'all need to not be going out there, a United States citizen, and putting yourself in harm's way, because this didn't end well, not for her and her family. And just got to pray for her children, pray for her family, because while we're all disputing, some people sending their condolences, some people saying she deserved it and all of that. I think that it could have been handled better than what it was, like not shooting her, shoot her tires, let her go, just let her go. Now once he start firing and then if they're going to release a video, they're going to most definitely scrub it. They're not just going to put anything out there. So I don't know. It's a lot, but they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to piece this all together, and we're going to report it. We're going to watch it together. This is just a reaction. Everyone has an opinion, but I just think that it all in all is a sad situation for her and her family. And I believe that officer should never have an opportunity to be on the streets again, because he's traumatized. He's obviously should not have been out there, because this guy's videotaping. It's like he was waiting for something to escalate. It was like he was waiting for something. He like, why was he the only officer that had his cell phone out to videotape? Why? What was that all about? That's strange in itself. I mean, why is he recording? And then you're the same person that's going to pull your gun out to shoot her? And then they could show the angle. They can show you how far away he actually was at the time of her pulling off from the car. He didn't come anywhere near to being run over by her. And if you feel in danger, why were you walking in front of the vehicle? You're all in her face. You're videotaping her. You're videotaping the license plate. I don't think that helped his case at all. That was his video. And then they had the other videos showing her actually pulling off, and they breaking the frame down that you can see the distance apart from the vehicle and the actual officer. So anyway, you guys, this is a lot. It's only January. This is only January the 9th. And like we done, we have arrested the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, and we got all this stuff going on. Now we have this ICE shooting. J.D. Vance is speaking out. ICE shooting. RENEE Good, American citizen, shot and killed by ICE officers, all within a few days of the new year. Happy 2026. We can only hope from here on that it gets better. Whether we agree or not, that we do want what's best for this country, and we're not condemning all ICE officers. Everyone has a job to do. It's not everyone. Just like when police officers, when they shoot civilians, wrongfully kill someone, and all cops get blamed for it. It's not all of them. It's the trigger happy ones. It's the ones that don't have a cool head. It's those are the ones that give everyone bad names. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. I just thought that this is really important. We're going to do more on this. And don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and subscribe to my other channel, Speak to Sports. I'm in the NFL football, college football, and NBA basketball. And I'm still working on my other channel, Pray to All Here. And it's just, I don't know. I got to do something that's fun now. I got to watch a comedy after this because this is a lot, and you know, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't even know this woman, and I care about her. What happened to her, and I'm just sorry that unfortunately that her kids now do not have a mother. So maybe because I'm a mom, that bothers me. You know, women, we're more sensitive. So anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. God bless. Thank you, Jack. We got to get some more moderators on here. So I'm going to get some more moderators on here. And we welcome all, you know, comments. We don't expect everyone to agree to disagree. And that's why I don't be like getting rid of people who have a comment, you know, because we want people to interact. But if you go over the top, you out. You know, but this is what this is about. People are talking. This is what they're talking about. People want to be heard, and people are going to react to some people, no matter how wrong people are. And now we have, you know, cell phones with cameras, and even if people see it, they don't believe it. So imagine before, when we didn't, you know, before the internet, you had to go by whatever was told to you. There was never any footage. No one was on the scene. But now we can see it with our own eyes. So you guys, you know, you have your own opinion. And that's what America is. God bless. Peace out. This is so funny. God bless. Peace out. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe.